Hello, everyone. If you're like me and you have an office job, then you've probably got something like an HR department. And one thing a lot of the managers like to do is give people one-to-ones. Now, some people enjoy one-to-ones, they see it as beneficial because they want to develop further, they want to learn new skills, they want to progress, whatever it is they want to do. Over in England here, they call these type of things competencies. And the civil service, which is where I work, love competencies. Competency that, competency this, competency up the bloody wahoo. Yeah. They love competencies. Competencies up the wazoo. So yeah, they're great for people who aren't very competent and want to become competent, but when you do become competent, you want a lot more satisfaction in your work. You want a lot more fulfillment. It all just becomes, very tedious, just worthless. It all just becomes beneath you. You want to do something that's a productive use of your time. So I'm one of the types of people who just cannot stand one-to-ones. I just think they're a little bit silly. They're pretty performative. It's all about getting data on a page. How well is this cog working in the machine? It's all very unsavory. Anyways, so I recently had one and I gave barely any answers. I did give feedback to my manager. It was regarding an informal, because he used AI to define what doing accents meant. And I just said to him, please do not use AI to discern the meaning of such a sensitive topic. And I explained to him, look, AI is a great tool for planning, for definitions, for trying to understand some concepts, but I do not want it to cast judgment on me or anyone else for that matter. That's so dystopian and quite frankly disturbing. But he did go on to explain that this wasn't, anything to do with judgment or anything like that. He just wanted to give a full meaning of the topic at hand. He just wanted a full explanation of what was going on, which includes a defense of my position. And it was very supportive. He did say that he always had my back. He thought the whole thing was ridiculous. He knew I was only having a joke. It was a joke amongst friends. We do each other's accents all the time, that sort of thing. I'm of Irish descent, and other people of other descent, and we have a laugh about different cultures and different ways of speaking and all that kind of stuff. So it's fine. Open and shut case. So that was a nice conclusion to the one-to-one meeting. And, my manager was having a laugh with me because he was saying, oh, you don't really say that much. It's very short and sweet. You just give one-word answers. How well do you think you're performing? Well, actually, you're performing a lot better than that because you're getting 100% in this work and 100% in that work, blah, blah, blah. I just keep explaining it doesn't mean anything to me whether I get 80% or 90% or 100%. As long as I get the percentage that is adequate, then it's fine. This job is just about the money. And that's the way it should be. Unless you genuinely love what you do, then there is absolutely zero point in expending the extra time and energy worrying about these frivolous things. Save all that time and energy for what really matters, which is the pursuit of something you genuinely want to do in your life, something you're very passionate about, something you want to really pursue and have great endeavor for. Those are the things that really matter, like your dreams, something you will genuinely get fulfillment and satisfaction from. And that might be the job you're in, and that might be the job that requires you to do one-to-ones. That's absolutely fine. But as long as it's focused, as long as it's meaningful, and not just a silly waste of time where it's a disguised power play. Because that's ultimately what it is. I mean, at the end of this meeting, he's a really nice guy. He's great to manage. I'm glad I've got him. La la la. Like as if he owns me. Like they own you. Oh, I manage this person. They're great to manage. They're great to do this. Da da da. And I just have to remind them that I don't do the work to appease anyone. I don't care who it is. They're just a face to me. They're just a body to me. I only do it because I'm professional and I care about myself and I want the work to be a great standard because I want it to be, because it's my own values. They're my values, they're my standards, they're my principles. I live by my code of honor, and that's what matters. So yeah, I mean, it's ultimately the most important thing. You could. I have a great relationship with Guy. I have a great relationship with most people in my work. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm a mercenary. I turn up, I do what's necessary, I go home, I get my money. I don't have allegiances or loyalty to anyone except what I truly want to do with my life, like my own goals, my own passions, all that kind of stuff. Taekwondo and filmmaking, acting, writing, directing, all that kind of stuff. Trying to create my own production company. Those are the things that really matter to me. Maybe even becoming successful on YouTube as well. Those are things I would genuinely put a lot of energy and consideration into, because ultimately those are the things that are worthwhile in my life. Those are worthy goals. And it's okay having a normal job while you still have these lofty ambitions, but it's so important to remember that you answer to yourself. You are no one's slave. No one's the master of you. You do what you have to do for a limited amount of time, and then you take ownership of your own life. Become a sovereign person. And I think ultimately, that's the key to happiness. I suppose people romanticize about, these people living very simple lives. Like we romanticize about the kind of lifestyle that the Na'vi have in Avatar, for example. Watched Joe Rogan talking with Bradley Cooper. And they spoke about Avatar depression and stuff, because that life looked just so appealing. It's because they were in control of their lives. They weren't depending on an employer or anything like that. They were depending on themselves and their community. So yeah, I think that's something that we should all strive for, just depending on ourselves, our families, and our community. Anyway, just felt like getting that off my chest. Hope you all have a great day, night, whatever time it is. All the best.